You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley.
Welcome back.
Thanks. It's been a long time. It feels like it's been a year since we recorded.
I know.
Even on Thursday, I never posted to say we'll be back.
We're not doing anything. You just let people assume.
Yeah, I posted a happy birthday story for Mike because he's like,
let them wonder.
Yeah.
Let them wonder. Isn't that what they say? It's
we're
just like
staying
silence.
in mystery.
Yeah, we're just keeping the mystery alive.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, by the way, we're skipping last week.
Yeah. We forgot to let you know.
Yeah. Details.
Hey, follow through is still happening.
You know what? We're still here.
We're still here.
We're here in episode 96.
Mm-hmm.
We still need to figure out what's going to happen after that, after 100.
After 100, we are probably going to have to just upgrade our plan on our podcast. So if anybody wants to start making donations.
Yeah.
Just to keep us
support
alive.
The cause.
Yeah. I remember when My Favorite Murders started, like, they were like, if anyone wants to donate just to, like, feed us.
To feed us.
I don't know if they used that specific term, but it was pretty close. Like,
it was pretty close.
Because it costs money to, like, operate a podcast.
You don't say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. So anyway, moving on from that. So this topic that we have, we have several topics, just like quick little blurbs. But so the other day, like I was scrolling and I saw Memes had like this funny little reel. Memes is Too Little to Love on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I saw this funny reel and she was like talking about other kids taking her kids' pool toys.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And I was kind of like, yeah, because like we're trying to parent Annabelle to like ask before taking things.
Right.
Because you know how toddlers are about sharing. Like,
they just don't understand.
Right. And like I can just envision, like we go to the beach a lot more than the pool. So like I can just envision this poor little 2-year-old running down the beach after Annabelle who's just stolen their toy or something.
Right.
You know, like, oh my God. Traumatizing. Yeah. So anyway, it's so funny because I saw this all right after we had taken her to the beach on our one sunny day last week, which was Mike's birthday. Mm-hmm. And we got onto the beach and she ran up to another child's toys and we had her toys with us. And she immediately ran up to this other child's toys that were scattered all around. And she like starts picking up their shovels and like using them. And I was like, hey, Annabelle, we have our own toys over here. And I was like, and we need to ask before we use another child's toys. And the parents were just kind of like, oh, let her be, community toys, do whatever. But the kids weren't there. So, I mean, we kind of avoided that disaster of like the children getting upset. They were like playing with their friends down the beach or whatever. But anyway, I saw this thing from Memes. So the cover of the reel says, deciding when I should go up and parent the kid who took some of our pool toys without asking since his parent isn't doing their job. So clearly she's feeling feisty.
Yeah.
And then in her caption she wrote, if I noticed my kids playing with toys that weren't ours, you better believe I'd ask where they got it from and go return it and or ask if they can play with it. Hey, I'm all for sharing and letting kids be kids, but kids should also have manners.
Agreed.
I feel like this is what we were taught when we were growing up.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like there's like, and we've talked about this before, but there's like a level of like entitlement in today's generation, and I just don't like it. Yeah. It's like so rude, and it's basic manners.
Yeah, and it's a learning opportunity.
It is, because what are you teaching them? If you're teaching them that like everything's community, you can have everything, like what is that doing for them? That's setting them up to get their face punched. Yeah. It's literally what that is.
Like when you get older, that's not how
life works. You need to ask for permission.
Yeah. And we need to like the sprint to the other child's toys. We need to like slow that down and add some thinking into it. And I know that our children's brains are very much in the lower end of development.
But that's where it comes to the parent, though. Yeah. It's up to the parent, too, because the child needs to see. They're going to model that behavior. Yeah. And they need to see the parent asking, like, is it okay if she plays with these? Yeah. Is it okay if they're whatever? And, yeah, I mean, chances are it is going to be fine. Yeah. But, like, what if it's not?
Right. So Memes got over 400 comments on this.
That's so crazy.
I know. And I sent
of people going against her, right?
Yeah. People, there's a lot of women or a lot of moms and parents who are just angry about what she said. And I sent you a screenshot because she put it in stories. Yeah. And this is what she said in stories. Got lots of comments like this on my reel about kids taking our pool toys, and I'm genuinely baffled that so many think this way. So she posted one of the comments, and it says, I'm all about manners, but if you bring toys to a public pool, you're making the decision to share. No kid is going to ask because they probably have no idea who the toys belong to. Now, if they're trying to leave with the toys, that's a problem. But yeah, playing with them is fair game. Don't be an ass. She said, don't be an ass.
No, I'm sorry. I don't agree with that.
So Memes replied in her story. She said, didn't know teaching my kids basic manners and expecting them to practice it in society was being an ass. And yes, absolutely there are kids who will ask before touching toys. That's not theirs, regardless if it's public space or not. I thought it was a common sense thing that you don't touch or take what's not yours. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. And then she also noted at the bottom, I'm not talking about toddlers because obviously they're still learning, and I would hope the parent is actually present to have teachable moments. This is parenting.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think, so obviously you teach your kid, if it's like, listen, like, you're going to bring this to a community pool, you're going to bring this to a friend's house, you're going to bring this to a party. Mm-hmm. You need to understand that you're going to have other kids wanting to play with this. Yeah. So I do think that there is an element there of like preparing your child, but it does not mean that it has to be a community toy. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right. All of this is just part of learning and part of life, and manners is part of them. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's just this conversation so much with, like, the older generations that, like, us millennial parents aren't teaching our children manners.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. And it's like, I guess, you know, some of us really aren't. Mm-hmm. But we can do better.
1,000%. Oh my god.
We can do hard things.
That video of Hayden. Yeah. I died.
I know.
So cute. So she's referring to this adorable video I got of Hayden. So we're working through our frustrations when we are having a hard time with something. And I'm always like, you can do it. You can do it. You can do hard things. You can do hard things. I'm always like saying that to him. And he had this little wooden train track, and he was trying to put it into the pieces, and he finally got one. And then I made like a big deal about it. I'm clapping my hands. I'm like, yay, good job. And then he was getting all excited. And then he looks up at me so serious, like, I can do hard things. And I'm like, that's right, baby. You can do hard things.
We're going to send him to the pool and teach the parents.
So funny.
We're sending Hayden out on a mission.
So cute. My God. Yeah, it's basic manners. It's basic manners. I don't think Memes is in the wrong. Yeah. And honestly, too, like, I don't think that she would be like, a lot of her content, it's meant to be funny.
It's meant to be funny, and so, like, have a good time.
Right. I don't think, like, yes, she's being a little salty in her reel, but probably real life there. She probably didn't say shit. She probably just sat down and was like, oh, it's fine, or whatever. Like, she's just making content and starting conversation. And the fact that it blew up like that and people feel so strongly the other side, that it's just like, it's fine, is just honestly kind of scary, because it's truly showing where the fuck things are going, and it's not okay. Because it's basic manners.
It is
ask.
Basic manners.
It's not yours. Ask.
Yeah. And, like, it's gonna, like, how do kids make friends these days? Walk up and steal their beach toy or their
apparently.
Like, oh, hi. It's not, hi, my name is Annabelle. Can I play with you?
No. It's like, give me your ball.
Let me have that shovel and I'm gonna go play over here. Thanks.
Or just not even saying shit and just taking it and running away. It's so rude.
With the other one chasing after.
Like, imagine if adults behaved that way. Like, why is that okay? I don't understand why, like, what lesson is being taught there. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. We're with you, Memes, on that. That's bullshit.
So, yeah, 100%. And I've started homeschool preschooling Annabelle, and one of the first things that we're working on is friendship. And what that means, and like showing her pictures of taking turns and sharing and, you know, stuff like that. And she absolutely loves it. And like, even after the first day that we started, I noticed a huge difference. And that was when we had our play date with Hayden.
Yeah.
I started that, and she was just like doting on him. She was just like, yeah, they had their moments.
Yeah, but they're going to.
But she was just like, oh, I just love him so much. And just like doting on him and understanding that we needed to share and why we needed to share and, you know, all that. But that's just part of it.
And I kept instilling in her too. Like I kept kind of like pulling her aside. I was like, I promise you, he's not going to leave with any of your toys. Your toys stay here.
Yeah.
Not going to leave with anything. And she's like, okay. Yeah. Like she just like added reassurance. You know, reassurance. It's like, don't worry, he's not going to leave with anything. I promise you.
Yeah.
So, and he's starting to be a little bit better too, because I'm just like, can Annabelle have one? Which one can Annabelle play with?
Yeah.
And then he like looks and he gives it to her. He is getting he likes the feeling of making other people happy. And so when he sees that he's like gives Annabelle something and it makes her happy, he wants to give her something else. And so it was like with the cars, he kept giving her more and more because he saw it was making her happy. So I'm like, okay, we'll lean into that. That's a good start. That's cool.
So funny.
Here we are.
And then when Annabelle had enough cars, she's like, no, I don't want any more cars. I'm like, Annabelle saying, no, thank you, Hayden. That was very nice of you. Because he was so happy.
Oh my God. The other day, I don't remember if it was like to my dad or to my brother. I don't even really remember. But so Hayden did something or I think like one of them had asked him to do something, and he like said he gives it to them or whatever, and then but they didn't say thank you. and he literally yells, he goes, "You're welcome!"
Oh my God,
like screamed it, and I was like, oh my God, good job, Hayden.
Oh my God,
I was like, you're right, thank you. They should have said thank you. You're right.
Yeah.
It was like so passive aggressive. I was like, funny. You're so smart.
So I had this wicked embarrassing moment when I was teaching Annabelle to say thank you and like please and all that stuff. I had this really embarrassing moment. It was like Christmas, not this year, but the year before. And we were opening presents as a family, like doing our Yankee swap for adults. Not kids, adults.
Right.
But my brain was still very much there. And so Mike had asked for something. He had asked for someone to go get a trash bag for the wrapping paper. And instead of saying please, he just said, hey, can you go grab a trash bag? And I go, please. And my cousin goes, are you teaching 2 toddlers or what?
Because it was just involuntary. It just happened.
It just came out of my mouth. And I was like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
But like as adults, like we use tone of voice in order to kind of make it sound nicer and more polite, which he totally did. Yeah. But I was just like, please.
That's hilarious. I'm actually like impressed with the fact that Hayden has picked it up and he knows when to say it, like how to say it, like, and it's just like, it's adorable. Yeah. That's so the cutest thing.
And people notice that kind of thing too. When they're just like, oh, they're so polite.
Yeah. Polite. He's my own little cheerleader. I don't remember. I was doing something the other day and I was trying to, I don't remember, but he's like, you can do it, Mommy. You can do it, Mommy. And I'm just like, it's so funny because I'm constantly telling him, like, you can do it. Yeah. You can do it. And so he's like cheering me on. I'm like, thanks, sweetheart.
So funny. I feel like 2 is like one of the best stages ever.
Yeah, especially like 2.5 because he like really is turning this like little milestone of like putting actual sentences together and like words, and like he's just such a sponge and he collects all this information, and it's like things that you don't really think that they're paying attention to, they'll hit you with like days later, and you're like, oh yeah, you were paying attention to that.
Totally paying attention.
Cool. Yeah. I will watch what I say. Yeah. Noted.
I just love it when they use everything in perfect context.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it was. I think it was one of you girls sent me this thing about like allowing children to use swear words in their home. Because it's just once they get it out of their system.
Yeah.
It's like
it might have been me. Yeah. I personally am chill with it.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's at home.
Right.
And we need to understand.
Right.
We don't say that with me, but we don't say it in public.
We don't say it in public. We've had a couple tricky moments in public, but that's like, it was like sent to me at the perfect time. Mm-hmm. To where it was like starting to happen in certain public situations where she would use it in perfect context, but then she would know I was trying not to laugh, so she would repeat it. Yep. And I had to be like either talking over her so no one could hear her, or just like leaving. Yeah, I have to turn around, but Hayden has caught on that when I'm turning around, it's because I'm laughing. Yeah. And then he'll go, Mama. Mama. And then he'll like say it again, and I'm just like, I can't with you right now. You just need to stop. Oh you need to shut this down right now. So funny, like you get the big belly laugh sometimes because they know you can't handle it anymore. But yeah, no, she now knows that she's allowed to use certain words at home but not out in public. And so she said something the other day that was new. I don't remember what it was, but she looks at me and I look at her and she goes, what? You said I can say it at home, not in public. Yeah. Like, but you're like, I did say that, don't I? You're right. Huh. You're right. Cool. But it kind of, knock on wood, it's kind of worked. It does work because if you tell them that they can't say it, they're going to say it eventually. Yeah. And if they don't have an outlet or a place to release it and say it, it's going to come out in situations that are not good. Highly frowned upon. Middle of the grocery store, like out to eat to a waitress, like with a grandparent, you know? Yeah. Like, you don't want that to happen. No. So it's like, you know what? This is our safe space. We can learn about these bad words. We'll understand why they're bad words. Yeah. And we will use them in the privacy of our home. Yeah. Anything outside of that, we will just shut that down. Yeah. We get in the car yesterday. She was so tired. So tired. We did like this little very early morning children's yoga thing. We get in the car and she was so tired. And we went to eat lunch. And then it was like raining again. And we get in the car and she goes, I want to go the fuck home. And she was already buckled into her car seat. It was just the two of us and it was fine. And she's like, go the fuck home. Fuck home now. And I was like, okay, honey. She's ready. We are over it. Going home, honey. You can rest. Hayden's thing that he says often, and it gets me every time. And because, like, it's me. I have no one else to blame but me. It's totally me. But he says, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Like, he'll drop something or get something stuck, and then it'll be quiet, and I'll hear, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no. What happened? And, like, now, like, you also know, like, something happened, and you have to go fix it. Yep. You have to go fix it. Well, I'm trying to teach him just, like, you can ask for help. Say, can you help me? Yeah. I'm trying to teach him, like, say, help me. Don't get frustrated. Say, help me. Yeah. But if he's not saying help me, he's saying, are you fucking kidding me? And that's kind of the same thing. That's what I've translated that to. I'm just like, I'm right here. Yeah. Like, shit. Sorry, kid. I can help you. Yeah. Mamas, I love a full and silky texture in my face creams because they feel so healing and comforting to my dry, thirsty skin. Well, the award-winning, best-selling, lightweight moisture release water cream by Honest Beauty called Hydrogel Cream refreshes and cools my skin on application and leaves a dewy finish. As I mentioned on the Hope-isode, Kathy's story, I love mixing Hydrogel Cream into my foundation for a healthy-looking glow. Infused with jojoba and squalene to help hydrate and soothe thirst, plus 2 sizes of hyaluronic acid to help soften and firm, reducing the appearance of fine lines. Honest Beauty's Hydrogel Cream will provide a beautiful glow for very dry skin. We're leaving the link below in our show notes. Drink up, mamas.
Mamas, I want to have rosé all day, have fun, and let myself live a little without feeling drunk or feeling hungover the next day. So I treat myself by adding rosé tinted glasses to my sparkling water or lemonade. If you're like me and you're looking for calm daytime energy while feeling alert, present, and uplifted because, well, you know, you're a mom now. Adaptogenic and antioxidant-rich ingredients make rosé tinted glasses from Apothecary great for those battling feelings of stress and looking to curb signs of aging with improved skin tone and moisture. Its tincture format makes it easy to drop wherever you're making it. It's perfect for busy working moms, busy stay-at-home moms who are looking for mood and energy support on the go. We're leaving a link below and in our show notes. So cheers, mamas!
Well, speaking of learning, shall we get into this week's topic?
Yeah.
So today's episode is actually inspired by, you just mentioned it a little bit ago, but Sonia just started homeschooling. And so this is about her journey with that, with her 4-year-old daughter, Annabelle.
So this was really just going to be like a little at-home preschool plan to make sure that she knew what she needed to know as far as preschool. But it's also kind of turned into a philosophies about, love principles. Because I want to get her started young with self-worth and like deep-rooted self-confidence and, curiosity, self-worth, and also emotional regulation. Because that's a lot of what kids our children's age really need to know.
Yeah.
So if you've ever wondered what homeschooling could look like without pressure, overwhelm, or perfection, this episode is for you.
I'm excited because this is a topic that's trending right now. A lot of celebrities are, especially the Kardashians are coming forward talking about their opinions on it of, keeping kids home and teaching them yourself and not relying on the school system anymore.
And I had no idea this was so widespread.
Yeah. It's become a really big thing. There's just so much controversy right now, too, in the media, especially with the public school system. It's sad too, because it's like, you have, and I know she stopped teaching for many reasons, but you have Alyssa who stopped. There's a lot of teachers that are bowing out because the education system, they're not free to teach how they want to teach.
Yeah.
They're being forced to push things on kids that they don't believe in.
Right.
And they're like, all right, they're bowing out. So
yeah, crazy. And then there's my little mama heart who worries because there's so many dangers with kids being all together.
Yeah.
Right
mass
now,
shootings.
Yeah, there's mass shootings.
Yeah.
There are a ton of schools in our town based on the areas and the population and how many kids are going to go to that school. And there were talks a little while ago of combining them all into one little elementary school. And it's I can see both sides of that. And I'm not trying to be political at all. It is what it is, and what people feel like doing and what they vote for is great. But it was scary for me because my mind goes to where the most children are is where it's the most danger is.
Here we go.
Right, because it's easy for one person to just go in with a gun and get the most. And it's like, oh my gosh, I love the separation.
Because of that, all these schools now are honestly kind of looking like little mini prisons.
Yeah.
You walk in, there's metal detectors, it's cement walls, it's very sterile. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not creative. It's not, it's kind of depressing, to be honest.
And we had so much fun in elementary school, but I haven't been in one. I don't know a lot, but I know it's changed so much. I've talked to a lot of parents who have decided for one reason or another to homeschool. And you'll find them at, the Children's Museum, or you'll find them at the parks, or at the little local community events for kids. They're there, and they're all kind of talking about it, and there's just so many reasons. But anyway, I did not originally set out to homeschool, but as I looked at, like you said, the kind of environment I wanted her to learn in, I felt like being at home and being able to teach the values that we want her to know, I felt like we could do it.
So, how did you find the curriculum? What are you going by?
There's there's Montessori and all these things.
I'm a huge advocate for Montessori.
Right. And before Annabelle was even born, I had already decided we wanted to do a Montessori style nursery and all that stuff. But honestly, what I did to get my first inspiration for what I would want was I put into ChatGPT all of the things. I was like, what does my child absolutely have to learn to graduate from preschool? What are the requirements for that? And then also, how can we incorporate the principles of love principles as far as self-worth and confidence and just basically all of those things.
Right.
How can we incorporate that? How can we incorporate building friendships? books. And I put just like all the things that I really wanted Annabelle to learn for values into ChatGPT, and it came up with something, and I was like, okay, great. And this was like more of like a day-to-day routine, and it included Montessori and Reggio Emilia, and it's basically a lot like Montessori, but what I feel like really separates out the Reggio Emilia curriculum with Montessori is that children are taught to take things that they learn from throughout their day, throughout their life, and make connections so that they can understand how each piece of learning influences other pieces of their learning. And they basically just integrate all their learnings into like one big thing. Learning to read. For example, Annabelle loves numbers. If you talk to her about numbers or counting, she will instantly start paying attention. So we're reading books, and she'll always grab one of her numbers books to read. So when it comes to other books, it's kind of hard to get her interested in them. But, so what I did was I took one of her other books, and I had her look at the pages, and I'd be like, okay, how many paintings are on the wall in this photo? And like, it gets her interested in what's in that book as opposed to just like her numbers books, because there's just so many things, and like that's just a very tiny example, but it's a way to get her interested in things other than just numbers. You know,
I've been doing that with some of Hayden's books too, because he's so proud of himself. He can count to 10, and he just gets so excited about it. But like, for example, Goodnight Moon, it makes it easy with that one, because it's like there's two little kittens, a pair of mittens, and I stop and I'm just like, okay, let's count the kittens. And he like counts the kittens or whatever. So I like pause, and I'm just like, okay, 3 little bears, let's count the bears. How many do you see? And he counts the bears. So I've been doing that with him too.
And another thing you were talking about a while ago is that you make it sound animated when you read.
And
that makes
I do different voices. Like he loves Pig the Pug books. And there's several books, but there's one in particular where it's like this pug goes to obedience school because he's a naughty pug. And the trainer, they even make her illustrated as this big gruff woman. So I give her this big gruff voice, and I'm just like, once you're done here, you'll be good or whatever. It's like, you'll behave soon enough. And it's like he barks it back at me or whatever, and he just gets so fun. He just thinks it's the funniest thing. So but I do like all the different little voices or whatever. I get a little too into it.
That's a huge tip for parents who have like kids who are just like bored by reading. Like, Annabelle, I started doing that with her like intentionally when we started homeschooling, and because she was just so kind of like, I would rather be doing other things. Like, let me play with my toys, which a lot of her toys are educational. So cool, we can do that, but let's just try this animated version.
It does help, because I know for me, like, I have a hard time, even to this day as an adult, I have a hard time reading something. I'll fall asleep, I get really tired, I get sleepy, I lose focus, I drift off the page. I'll get through an entire page and realize I have no idea what I just read. It's a thing. And so even as a child, like, listening to books, it would just like put me to sleep, and I wouldn't really, I would hear it, but I wouldn't really like listen to it. And but I had a couple teachers in school that were really animated, and it really like caught my attention. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're bringing the characters to life. You're creating voices for them. I can actually follow along with the story. I know what's happening. And so it made it more fun for me. So that's why I'm doing it for him.
And this is also part of the Reggio Emilia inspired learning is, how does your child like to learn best? You knew you liked to listen to things that were more animated. And technically, a child can take that information when they have to read to themselves. And
start creating the voices for themselves.
They can start doing that for themselves, because there's so many like book projects.
And he does too, because as he's like fake reading too in the corner of himself, I hear him like himself. He's like rah, 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 rah. Like when it's that woman, like he's copying the voice that I do for her, and it's like so funny.
Maybe we're not original in the way we like to learn. Maybe everyone wants to learn that way. So for the curriculum, we did, basically it started me off with like what a day-to-day would look like. And I was like, okay, cool, but I'm a big picture person. So I need to know, okay, so here are the things that we need her to learn to graduate. And then here's the other stuff that I want. So how can we incorporate this into month to month between right now through June of next year? And I know most kids technically end school right now, and then they have the summer off. And then they start back up in the fall. But here's the deal. We only have so many days of sunshine and to be really enjoying outside and nature. And I want that to be incorporated into what she's learning. So I was like, let's just have fun with it.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Yeah.
We can incorporate our nature stuff, which is actually part of her curriculum, and start it in the summer and just go all year, because learning should be fun. Learning shouldn't be a task.
No, because then they're not going to want to do it. Yeah. So if they're having fun with it, they're going to want to do it more.
Right.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT helps me break it down from June now until June next year, and then daily and yada yada. So I basically just have like a map out, and by the end of the year she'll have what she actually needs to know, and then all of her values will be firmly in place, which is great. I'm excited. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be good. Like, thank God for AI.
I can't. I know. I rely on that thing so much.
Yeah.
So what is like, you know, I'm looking back when I grew up, and it was just like, hurry up, wake up. You're like, abruptly the light turns on. You have to like quickly rush to get out of bed, quickly eat a breakfast that you're not really excited about. Sometimes it was like in the car, and then it's still dark out and your sleepy's in your eyes, and you're being rushed out the door to school. What is your day? What do the days look like? What does this mean? And granted, she's a lot younger, but like, what is it?
Yeah, so I do have to work like Monday through Friday. So I still try to get myself up and like ready and presentable before she wakes up in the morning. And then once, you know, she wakes up, which is usually around 7:30 or 8, then we focus on just kind of like giving her the wake up time. Like, she needs like a good 15 minutes to just decompress. Yeah. And she's not hungry in the morning at all, which is kind of crazy. This is a new thing for me. Like, I could normally, even if she wasn't fully ready to eat, I could normally get her to like have something just to make her stomach feel full.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's kind of like a lunch girl now. We need to start at lunch, but I try to get a snack into her if I can, like a healthy snack. So anyway, I try to focus on what is she gonna eat and getting her like water and hydrated and get her ready. Yeah. And so she'll be in a good mood. And then we just get dressed, and I have these 2 little desks, tiny little desk tables for the living room, and I'll get my computer out, and she'll have a seat next to me, and we'll start off with just a daily affirmation, which for Annabelle and the curriculum that we're working on is really focused on being kind, curious, and strong. So we just say in a certain way, I'm kind, I'm curious, I'm strong, and I'm explaining to her what these words really mean, because kind is a great word. But to a 4-year-old,
but what does it mean?
What does that mean? So we talk about the word kind, we talk about the word curious, and what that means, and she's learning that it means she loves to learn, and she loves to ask people questions, or ask questions about what she's learning, or, you know, whatever. And then she already has known what strong is for a very long time. So
yeah,
she loves that part. She loves that part. And then we talk about, like, for example, we'll get started with the day. It's usually, since she loves numbers, we'll usually get started with a numbers book, or counting, or, you know, whatever. We'll take out beads and count beads. And then we'll get into reading a book. And then I'll try to get her set up with something where I can start working. So it could be art, or drawing of any kind, or if there's a lesson that I feel like I can't be the one to be responsible for her fully understanding, and I know where she can watch it, I'll put it up on the TV. Like, there's, for example, we were talking about friends who have differences. And there's this amazing episode of Daniel Tiger about...
Sorry, I'm trying so hard. I just can't with Daniel Tiger. You lost me at Daniel Tiger.
There's this amazing episode of Daniel Tiger where he meets his friend Max, who has autism.
Okay.
And so it just really explains autism, and it explains what they're thinking, and like, it's obviously everyone's different, but it explains kind of what's going on and how you can be friends with that person, just to make it easier to understand.
Right.
So we were talking about that specifically when we were talking about friendship, and I popped that on for her, and she was just way more into that than she ever would have been just watching the show. She was just like, oh, okay, this makes so much sense. So it's like, that's just one example. There's also episodes of Miss Rachel I would put on for like phonics, because I can go through it and I can say phonics, or I can say how to say a word or whatever, or a letter however many times, but it's also good for her to hear it from other people. So if there's a specific topic, I'll just sometimes pop it on, and then I can get some work done.
Well, that's the great thing, too, is there's so many resources out there. Yeah. Like, literally. Like, there's just stuff everywhere. Right. So you're not in this alone. Yeah.
And I think it's important for them to just know, we're setting the intention. You're going to watch this episode because they're going to explain it to you really well. So that you fully understand it. Yeah. So you're popping it on to do that, and then afterwards you can do a project based around that. Annabelle loves drawing, so you can just, for her, I would just give her a piece of paper and say, draw how that made you feel, or draw what you saw in that episode, or whatever, and then she can explain it. And so she's really liked doing that. One of the projects we worked on last week is thank you cards for her birthday. So I oftentimes would write out the card and then have her, like, I would read it to her. Yeah. And have her understand it, and then I would have her draw around it. But like the other day when you and Hayden were coming over, I didn't have time to write out the full note. And after we decided you were coming, I didn't have time. And so I was like, we need to make Hayden and Auntie Jess and Auntie Doris thank you cards for your birthday. And she was like, oh, okay, let me go get my stuff. And I had like all of her thank you cards in like a box with her pens and the drawings that she wanted to put in there, and also told her to make new drawings, and she was so excited. So, you know, just like little projects.
That's awesome.
Learning gratitude.
Yeah. How do you even know, like, what? Because she just turned 4. So it's like, how do you even know what a 4 or 5-year-old whatever needs?
Well, I Googled it. But then also...
Google told me.
Yeah, Google told me that in order to graduate from preschool, like, these are the things. But then also, like, emotional regulation is one of them that's, you know, it's highly part of it. Because, you know, a lot of times when they go to preschool, they're really learning how to make friends and how to get along and, you know, do all those things like share and everything. And so it's a lot about that. And I knew that was going to be in there, but it just kind of like reinforced what I thought it would be to Google it. And then also popped it into ChatGPT and they confirmed. Yeah. So
I just keep thinking about, did you see, I think I sent it to you, that post from, or what Kourtney Kardashian was saying, how she's like, sending your kids to school is so dated.
I love that.
It was so good.
I love the way she talks.
Yeah, me too. But I've just been seeing so much of this lately, and so it's funny because when you were like, so I was just going to do kind of like, I was exploring like at-home preschooling, but the more I'm getting into it, the more I think I'm just going to homeschool her. And it was just so funny because I've been seeing all of these reels and all these things popping up on Insta and everything, and I've been kind of curious about it too. So you're not alone.
No, there's a lot of people, and fortunately I'm friends with some people on Instagram who, like, I don't get to see them very often, but they're kind of like slowly announcing what they're doing, and then they'll post pictures and blah blah blah. And like this year some of those people were graduating their kindergartners or like their preschoolers, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
It's so cute. Yeah, I've seen them where they'll do, because you can get like a little cap and gown off like Amazon and do your own cute little fun ceremony
Definitely
with all of like your little friends that are
Yeah.
also doing homeschooling.
Definitely
so
gonna do that for
fun.
Annabelle next year.
Yeah.
We need to make it wicked cute because this is more like it's a really girly kind of thought process with the whole love principles values incorporated into it. So I want to see if like there's a pink cap and gown.
There are.
Are you
That's
serious?
what I was. Yeah. I saw
So
somebody.
cute.
It was like some influencer. She did the same thing where she like it's basically it was like her and all of her girlfriends had decided that you know what like. Fuck the school system. We're taking matters in our own hands. We're gonna homeschool these kids, and they did that. They had like, and of course they had like all girls. So literally there was like 7 or 8 little girls that were all the same age, and they were all kind of doing homeschooling together in their own homes. But all the moms came together and did a little graduation ceremony with all of them, and they all had pink cap and gowns.
Oh my gosh!
And she said they were from Amazon.
That's
and so they did like cute little like they had like a whole little ceremony. They had like pink flowers everywhere. They had like a whole like photo shoot. It was so cute. Yeah. So they do. Yeah. They do a pink
definitely
cap and
doing
gowns.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to have like a little flower tassel coming down.
Yes. That's so funny. This goes along with it too. And I know Chloe, I didn't know it was an actual story. Otherwise I would have done like a screen record to save it. But Chloe was talking about recently, I think on her podcast, about how when her daughter True started getting Annabelle's age, she started enrolling her in all these extracurricular activities and kept really like jam-packing her day. It's like you have school and then you have ballet and then you have theater and then you have, now I'm like, I don't even know. She's like Spanish lessons, you have piano lessons, you had all these things. And then all of a sudden it'd be like True would have days where she'd be like, can I just stay home?
Yeah.
And it's not that like she wanted to sit home and watch TV all day or have like screen time. She just wanted to stay home and be a kid.
Right.
It's like play in the pool, play with her dolls, play with her toys, play with her brother, just be a kid.
Yeah.
And Chloe like said that she paused and she's like, you know, I have days where I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And I just want to stay in my pajamas and I just want to relax and I just want to hang out and I just want to read a book or I just want to whatever. She's like, so why would it be any different from her?
Yeah.
Like, why are we making our kids, why are we rushing through their childhood and making them so busy that they're not able to actually enjoy anything because they're just going from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are they getting out of that?
Right.
So it's like, let's slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
People are waking up.
Right. It's a lot for kids to get through all of that in one day. Even Annabelle would like, before we were preschooling, like even before that, it was like, there's so many things that we're doing in a day. And she's like, I just want to stay home today.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. So just to have all of that on your agenda, I get it.
I know one of the big things that a lot of people think of when they, and I know I thought of this too, when they think like, oh, a child is homeschooled, they're like, oh God, are they going to be a weirdo? Are they not going to be socialized? Are they not going to be normal? And that is just such a closed-minded way of thinking because that's to imply that the only way your child is going to socialize is if they go to school. That's to say, like, how sad is that to think that that's the only way a child is going to socialize?
Right.
There's so many other things. There's other sports. It doesn't have to be affiliated with an actual school. There's different sports they can be a part of. There's the Children's Museum. There's different, like, you can still go to the playgrounds. You can still go to, like, all of these, you know, birthday parties and stuff. Like, they are socialized. Yeah, you have to be a little bit more creative with it. But, like, they are socialized.
Right. Outside of Hayden and, like, Cassie and, like, her friends that she sees on, like, a consistent basis, Annabelle goes to swim school and she's made 2 close friends from swim school. And their parents are awesome. One of them, since Mike's been taking her for the last few weeks because I've been working, it's her dad that brings her to swim school every week. So him and Mike have become close. So it's like dad friends.
Yeah.
And then they'll go on play dates and stuff.
That's cute.
So, I mean, there's just so many different things. Like you said, and then you want to get Hayden into some things soon. Like, you're talking about soccer.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the first sport.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into.
He'll definitely make friends because that's a very intertwined team sport where they have to communicate a lot. Even as littles, they're going to be like, they're going to know. They're talking to each other. And
exactly.
He'll make several friends doing that. And I think I want to get Annabelle into soccer because of that too. Because I want her to be in like a really strong talking sport. There's basketball, which is also a really like big talking sport, but it's like she's tiny, so I kind of just want her to be like kicking a soccer ball.
Like, where are we gonna go with that?
Soccer will be fun for her. But to go back to your question, when I was Googling and on ChatGPT, it obviously told me what they need for their curriculum, but it also was talking about it's less about memorization and it's more about rooting them in confidence and, you know, resilience and learning how to have fun with kids.
Yeah.
And then milestones to aim for obviously would be recognizing their letters. I mean, recognizing. You're not, like, full-on reading. And then counting objects, which is super easy for us. And then expressing feelings, sharing space, and being curious. And so, you know, those are all good things that 4 to 5-year-olds are learning and hopefully kind of understand by the time they're 5. And then just planting seeds and understanding how they like to learn. Like you said, with the whole animated reading and stuff like that. Like, there are going to be little clues like that, so watching out for those so that you can help them learn how they like to learn.
Hey mamas, are you someone who's 35 plus and struggled with fertility, endured a miscarriage, experienced heartbreaking fostering or adoption challenges, or were perhaps flat out told by a doctor that you will never conceive naturally, and despite the odds, eventually found your happy ending by becoming a mama?
Send us your story at geriatricmamas.com. We would love to feature your journey to motherhood on a future Geriatric Mamas episode.
I'm really leaning towards wanting to homeschool Hayden for many reasons. One of them is safety, and then also I just don't trust the school system right now. And so I'm really leaning towards it, but like I work full time, you know? So it's like, how, for me, it's like, I wonder if there's a way, because it's like, do you have to be a full-time like you work, like you're doing Love Principles, you're doing the podcast. And so it's like, how is it possible to juggle a 40-hour work week and also homeschool?
I feel like that's a really great question, and I'm fortunate that I'm starting when she's in preschool because both of us are going to be learning together how to balance the day. So I'm currently doing the podcast with you, which, you know, I mean, I've kind of really tried to prioritize top priorities for the podcast and what we really need for our listeners to get done throughout the week. And then Love Principles, I've been trying to focus heavily on promoting that. So my time is divided on those two things as far as work already. And then for incorporating Annabelle's preschool, it's kind of like, since it's preschool, and we know as long as we're focusing on what we can get done in a day, it's a great learning experience for both of us to figure out how that day is going to be mapped out so that when it comes to the serious things, like when she actually needs to start kindergarten, hopefully we'll have everything mapped out. And it's going to be different for everyone. Like what's good for Annabelle and me might not work for you and Hayden. Or anyone else. So it's kind of like taking what your work looks like, what Hayden needs to be learning in that year, and you know, same thing for everyone else. So I don't know.
I know, like, a good thing with my job, too, is, like, you know, I'm not working for myself. I am working for an employer. But for most part, I am able to structure my days and schedule out my days. I can, like, break up and I can, like, block off, like, sections of my day. Like, okay, these are calls. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. And so maybe if it's, like, a early morning before my work day actually starts, I do, like, a chunk of it. And then it's, like later in the afternoon when my work day is winding down is where I do another part of it. So I know I'll eventually figure it out. It's going to be a trial and error of like what works and what doesn't. But I have a little bit of a ways to before we get there, because he has the attention span of a fly right now. So it's not working.
Like, honestly, Annabelle did too when we started. And it's a lot of times I would just have to stop and do like a pretend PE session, like a pretend Gym class.
You know what's funny? I'm glad that you said that because I actually had put into ChatGPT. I was like, because it's like I just personally don't want him in daycare for my own personal reasons.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. But knowing that I'm probably going to be preschooling him myself, I put into ChatGPT. I was like, what does, like, I work full time as a recruiter, plus, like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
What would that look like if I don't have any help and it's just me?
Yeah.
And ChatGPT actually put together a daily schedule.
Yeah.
And one of the first things it said was, like, on all the days, it start off with getting out a lot of the energy. So it's like start off and have like a dance party.
Yeah.
Do like a bunch of jumping jacks, put together like a little like fun obstacle course in the living room and have them kind of like run around through that. And so it's kind of like PE because it's like getting all of like your I don't know, energy out.
Your wiggles.
Get your wiggles out. That's what I was looking for. Let's get your wiggles out so then that way you can like focus.
Right.
And so we do start our mornings with dance parties.
Yeah. And you can make up funny names for things like jumping jacks. You can call them something else, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then
popcorn or something.
Yeah. And then another thing too is like Annabelle is going to be restarting ballet this summer, and she's going to be continuing it through the fall. But it's been a long time. And so she probably doesn't really remember a whole lot. I mean, there'll be some things, but she's going to actually be doing like first position, second position, like all those things.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So like at the end of our little get your wiggles out session the other day, I was like, okay, we need to start kind of remembering some things. So I was like, okay, now we're going to do some ballet and put your feet together and let's turn them out. And so we're relearning these things, which can also be part of it. And it's changing it up from just sitting here doing things. You know what I mean? So just changing it up. Okay, we need a break.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And I know chat can like schedule breaks in for you and stuff, but it's not always going to go with your child's wiggles.
No, it's literally just used to be used as a guide because it had some like ideas of different like crafts and things that I could do that I was like, oh, I didn't think of that. That could be fun. So
and
super cool.
Then there are things too where it's like you'll have this great idea in mind for like, okay, I'm gonna have her trace her letters so that I can send this email because that'll take around the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, but I don't want to trace letters.
Yeah.
Okay, but like we need to learn letters and I have to send this email. So like flashcards are amazing for kids. And we have letters flashcards, both the big and the small. And so in that moment, I was like, okay, I need to improvise. What am I going to do? So I was like, okay,
you need backup plans. Because if this one isn't working, we need to try something else.
So I was like, okay, honey, here are the little letters flashcards. And I was like, okay, you're going to look at the front. You're going to see the letter. And then on the back, you're going to see the picture that goes with it. And you can read those to me. And she's like, okay. But like, not really read because she can't read, but like, tell me what it is.
Yeah, tell me what you see.
Yeah, so it was like we were kind of interacting, but I didn't have to do a lot of work.
Right.
So it's like you're going to improvise. You're going to figure it out. But definitely, one other thing I Googled, too, before getting started was what books should they have at this age for preschool? Like, what books would they be reading at preschool?
Yeah.
And of course, you can get the list. You can go to the library, which is fun for them. And you can get them, or you can.
I used to love going to the library.
Yes, and Annabelle I feel like kids just love it. So you can go to the library, check them all out, or you can go on Amazon and you can order them as long as you've got them. And then what else? Just like if you're having trouble because they don't necessarily like a subject, but it's part of the requirement or whatever, just like Google different ways. It doesn't have to be exactly what you had in mind.
I have had some friends and even some family that, have gone the route of homeschooling. And one of the first things that comes to mind is like, how are they qualified to be a teacher?
Oh
like,
my gosh,
what? How are they oh, that child is doomed.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's me. Maybe they weren't friends. But, like, but let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, I guess, like, I also wonder too, like, am I even qualified to do this?
Right.
I'm not a teacher.
I feel like in preschool, it's like, preschool is preschool. But then it's like, as you get older. So it's like, thank God we have Google.
Yeah.
Because then we can be like, okay, what do they absolutely need to graduate, right? And then it's like, okay, but what else is my child interested in?
Yeah.
Like, what are they really leaning in on?
Right.
So then how can I nurture that? And then it's like, you know your child better than anyone else. So it's almost like you have the answers. You just have to, like, sit down and write down, like, okay, what do they have to know? And how do I help them with that?
Right.
And then what is special about what my child wants to learn?
Yeah.
And then what values do I need them to learn? And then is there anything else? Am I missing anything? And, like, that's where I would just, like, pop it all into, like, ChatGPT.
I mean, let it.
We should just
literally.
We need to be a sponsor for, like,
seriously do for ChatGPT.
Like, type it all in and be like, okay, am I missing anything? Is there anything else for a well-rounded learning experience? Yeah, and I think it's important too. Like, you don't need to be certified. You don't need to be certified to homeschool. There are several things out there. There's websites that you can sign up for that will help you get through what your child needs. I can probably list some of them in the show notes. But I know one of the friends I was talking about who's homeschooling her 2 little ones, she's using a certain program, and she's mentioned it in her Instagram stories. So she's getting everything from there. They send her, like, the books and the worksheets and the blah, blah, blah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, like, she's probably going to follow that until she feels like they need something else.
Right.
For each grade. And so there are things out there, and then there are businesses, like in Maine we have the homeschool admin, Maria, who you and Alyssa went to school with. She's kind of like someone who helps parents get organized, figure out what they need, and then also helps them learn their child's learning style so that they can do it in a way that their child's going to really enjoy it. And she also helps if they're having difficulty with getting their child to relax and, like, do their schoolwork so that it's easier for them.
Got it.
There are a lot of resources out there.
Yeah,
There's also a bunch of Facebook groups for homeschooling where you can ask questions. I think I'm in, like, 10 of them. But yeah, honestly, ChatGPT has been my best friend.
So you've basically been doing this now for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So based on what you've learned so far, do you have any words of wisdom?
Well, I feel like...
Tell me what not to do. I'm just kidding.
I feel like don't force it
Yeah.
on anything, because then they're not gonna like learning. They're gonna think school sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't...
It's complete opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I feel like if you do one educational thing a day, doesn't matter what it is, you've succeeded, because ultimately what they need to know in preschool, I mean, a lot of our kids kind of have already almost taught themselves. Like, yeah. And so it's kind of low pressure, but also make it fun. If there's a book that they love, or if like they want to go on a nature walk or whatever, that could be all you do in a day, but it makes a big difference.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now that it's warmer weather and hopefully the rain chills out a little bit.
Yeah.
We could do more of these nature walks that you've been talking about. I'm excited to bring them to the beach and let them start collecting seashells. Yeah. And look at the shapes and the colors of sea glass and stuff like that. Yeah. Be fun.
Exactly. For Mike's birthday, we went to Maine Wildlife Park, and at each animal's enclosement, there was these big signs, and it just kind of explained about the animals, and she was like, oh, what is that? And, it's just kind of like feeding into their curiosity. Yeah. And so we were like, oh, this is a sign that tells you about the bird and what they like to eat, and that really stuck with her. What do they like to eat? So it was like every sign we went to, she'd be like, oh, what does the raccoon like to eat? And then they would tell her, and she'd be like, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And I'm like, yeah, raccoons like to eat everything. So it's like, just like lean into the questions that they ask. Feed into their curiosity.
Loves it.
So I feel like the biggest reward in schooling and outside of schooling with Annabelle is just seeing her light up when she recognizes her name on a piece of paper. Aww. She's like, oh, that says Annabelle.
Yeah, when she knows something. Yeah. Seeing them light up when they accomplish something or learn something new is just like the most exciting thing. I love it so much.
And like, this spring, she's just kind of like been so into gardening. And this was before we started schooling, and she's like, plants eat water and sun, and the sun and the soil gives them their nutrients. And she said this to me, and obviously it's like in her adorable little baby voice and like little, missteps on the words. But just hearing her say that and sound proud of herself,
that she knows this.
It's like amazing.
That is so cute.
Yeah, they're little sponges.
They really are. Right now, Hayden's lessons that he's learned that he's proud to know is that bugs will bite you.
Oh my God, I love that.
Have to be
for
careful.
Hayden. Yes.
Bugs will bite you. You have to be careful. Chipmunks and birds are in trees. And there's others, but he just keeps repeating those right now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Those are our 2 go-tos at the moment.
You are right on target, Hayden.
We got this, boo. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering if you can homeschool your little one, even if it's just for preschool, yes. Yes, you can. Sonia can attest to that. Yeah. Yes, if she can do it, you can do it. I mean, if you think about it, we're already teaching them how to love, how to ask questions, how to move through these big feelings that they have, and that's basically the foundation of everything.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If they can do that, they can get through anything.
Yeah. Otherwise, as Hayden would say, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. And I would say, stay geriatric as fuck.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in next week. Your support is keeping the podcast going. You can help by following, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and especially by telling a friend to listen anywhere or watch on YouTube.
For more info, you can check out our website at geriatricmamas.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at geriatric_mamas, on YouTube at geriatric mamas, Twitter at X at Geriatric Mamas, and follow our group page on Facebook, Geriatric Mamas.
Have you seen the feud going on between Elon Musk and Donald Trump? It's kind of funny, to be honest. Oh, I haven't really been following it, but I just see like the tweets back and forth, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
They broke up.
They broke up and they broke the internet as a result. Yeah. If you have a topic idea that you'd like us to discuss, are interested in being a guest, or simply have a funny geriatric story to tell, you can go to geriatricmamas.com and hit be a guest or send us your story.
Bye.
Bye-bye.